Hi guys, this is Robert Red, and I have decided I'm going to start doing some tutorials of how to do stuff. Now, on my Mac that I have got an iMac. It's one of the first generation Intel iMacs. I produce a podcast about professional wrestling. It's the official podcast of Jonesboro Wrestling. It's called The Power of Pro Wrestling. Now, I do broadcast it on Castra FM, and I want to kind of show you the software that I use to broadcast with. So I'm going to pull up the software, and the way you do that on a Mac, you go to your Finder that I just clicked on, and you come up to Applications, and you scroll down until you find what is called Nicecast. Now, it's right here, so let me double click it and launch it. Now, I'm using a trial version here. Here. And let me close this out. So when you first launch it, this is what you get. It tells you it's in trial mode, and noise will be overlaid on all broadcasts over 60 minutes. So if you want to buy it, you can enter your license. You can, if you've already bought a license, later if you just want to continue with the trial, or buy if you want to buy a license. Right now I'm just going to do later. Now when you first launch Nicecast, this is kind of your setup. So I want to kind of go through it with you. The button here obviously is to start your broadcast. Now when you want to start broadcasting out to your server, you will go ahead and do that. And you got your volume level and stuff like that. The first button you see on Nicecast is your source button, and this is the source where you want your audio to come from to broadcast out to your server on the internet. Now, you have three options. The one I've got selected, I use the QuickTime Player application because my podcast, when I edit them, I do them in MP3 format and I play them back on the QuickTime Players. And I only do one podcast at a time because I'm using this in trial mode. Now, if I wanted to run a full-time station, want to leave my computer on all the time, I might choose iTunes. Might be a better piece of software instead of QuickTime Player, just for the fact of you can set up playlists and stuff. You can also use like mixing software, like Mix is available, and you can get that online. There's a virtual DJ. There's a lot of software you can get for both Mac and Windows. Now, Nicecast that I'm using here is only a Mac software, so if you have a PC, I'm sorry, you'll have to find another solution. But on to the second thing I mentioned for source, you can use your audio device. Now, you can select from your default system input. You can silence your input. You can use your built-in microphone if your computer has one. You can use your built-in input, or if you have a line in on your computer. A lot of computers have that nowadays. That's one. I actually have a Lexicon Lambda. That's my interface. That's how I connect my mic to my computer, because obviously I use a XLR style mic. I'm actually on my Samson mic. It's not my condenser one, but I believe it's my dynamic one that I have. And I've used this for a lot of my voiceovers, and this actually is used in my podcast as my guest mic. I use my actual studio condenser mic. But the Lambda is what I use to let you guys hear me on my microphone. Then there's Ubercaster that you can hear about, and there's all sorts of software and stuff that you can hijack your audio to get it to output to other things. Now I'm going to go to Info, which is your next tab. Now this is the info that is sent out to your listeners of your station. This is what they'll see. The name is obviously the name of your station, stuff like that. Your URL, you might put your station URL there, or if you have a website or something like that, that would be a good place to put your URL that you see right here. Now genre, you have right here. You can do, since I have a podcast, it would be talk. But if you are doing like a musical broadcast, and say you're a rock station, you put rock, hip-hop, rap, whatever your station would be. Now, if you're going to do a music station, make sure you take care of the legal issues and legality, and if you're going to be playing something like Michael Jackson or whatever style music you like, then make sure you have the rights to do that, or make sure you are paying the proper royalties before you do that. Now, AIM would be if you have an AIM Instant Messenger. That's AOL's Instant Messenger. You could put that there, and then the description at the bottom field here is what you would actually use for describing your station and stuff like that. Now we're going to move on to titles, and this is the title of your track of what the listeners are actually listening to. It has 3 options: artist, album, and title. And like the example I said of Michael Jackson, this is actually the info of the track that's playing that your listeners are listening to. Like, say you were playing Michael Jackson's Thriller, and say that's from the Thriller album, they would see the artist is Michael Jackson when the track is playing. Album, say the album's Thriller, and the title of the track is Thriller. So that would be that, and that's from the title screen. Next is quality. This is the quality of your broadcast and your usage of your CPU, which is your actual processor in your computer. I won't get into many technical details. And you have a preset, your first option under quality. And this is kind of if you're going to have buffering in your station or not. The top one that you see is the lower dial-up modem. If someone is accessing the internet through a dial-up modem, God bless them for being able to stand that. I had that back probably 10 years ago when I wanted to pull my hair out. There's lower one for DSL cable modem, high for DSL cable modem, higher for internet or LAN, or custom. Now, I'm using Caster FM, as I mentioned earlier. Now, your bit rate's the next option you have here, and they allow you a 128 kilobits per second bit rate, and that's a pretty good bit rate as well. Now, on your bit rate, you want to make sure your server, or if you're using a hosting solution like I am, a free hosting, don't ever exceed what your server's bandwidth or bit rate is, because that will be a good way to get your server cut off, and that's going to be a headache for you trying to get it back online and stuff like that. So always be careful. Now your sample rate is the next option. If you know anything about digital audio, you'll understand what your sample rate is. I just leave mine around 44.1 kilohertz. Or that's kind of a good place to have it. And then your channels will be either mono or stereo. You can select from. I'll leave mine on stereo. And then the last option you have is CPU usage and quality. And that kind of is how much processing ability you want your processor to have. So I've kind of left mine in the middle. The next tab that you have, or button you have, is the share. Now, since I am using a server online, that is my information for my server. So you can share it out with your friends so they can listen to your broadcast online. And that's the great thing about the internet, is regardless of where your friends may be, if they're in New York or Los Angeles or in Washington or Florida or Michigan or wherever, they can listen to your broadcast. Whereas if you were using like AM/FM radio, they would have to be within a specific range to pick up your station. So that's the great thing about having internet radio and stuff like that, especially with nicecast. Now, the last thing I'm going to do before I end this screen recording is the effects. And you can add all sorts of effects, like if you want a limiter or compressor or anything like that, you can add them in here, and you can kind of click on them as you're broadcasting and stuff like that. So that's kind of all I wanted to share with you about Nicecast. Now, you can listen to my podcast on robertswrestlingtalk.caster.fm. That's www.robertswrestlingtalk.caster.fm. And check out my podcast. I'm hopefully going to have a site up real soon to where you can subscribe to my podcast and stuff like that. When I do, I'll put it on my video. But I do want to thank you guys for checking out this tutorial. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I'm going to, if I have a lot of subscribers, I'm going to start doing more tutorials and stuff like that. And I'm going to try to do more videos. And if you like this video, please give me a like. Leave comments below if you hated this, what I can do better on my future tutorials. But I do want to thank you for joining me, and you guys have a wonderful day.